Hello everyone, a very logical day to all of you. So April 20, the first editorial of the Indian Express. I hope you are following all this and you are listening to the previous ones also. So as we had resolved for this week that you need to listen and you need to listen to those that you have missed in the previous month. So re-look at exports. So you too re-look at the work that you have done. See, you can understand many things from such short topics also. तो re-look से याद आ जाएगा कि हाँ हमें भी देखना चाहिए कि हमने क्या कर रखा है. So ये exports पे देखते हैं. Let's see. So recent trade data points to consequential shifts in India's export basket. Three broad trends emerge. First, after registering robust growth in 2021-22, the country's merchandise exports slumped in the second half of 22-23. However, we have this word slumped, that is down. However, during this period, exports of electronic goods and mobile phones have seen a significant jump. So if jump is increased, slumped is down, because in between we have this word however. Second, over the same period, services exports grew at a robust pace, even as the fourth quarter results of major IT firms suggest a subdued near-term outlook. Third, within services, exports of other IT services have gained considerable traction in the recent past. This suggests the emergence of other drivers of growth. Drivers of growth we have seen many a time. Those things which actually give a push to the economic growth are called the drivers of growth. How these trends play out could have a significant bearing on the country's trade performance in the coming years. To have a significant bearing would mean to affect, and that too largely. Okay, so it has a bearing, that means it is very important. The effect of all these things are important. So what is he coming up with? He is coming up with the trends, and that too 3 trends. So 1, 2, 3 trends के दिए क्या क्या हो रहा है, and topic क्या है, that they are understanding the India's export basket. So something is going down, slumped, something is improving, jump. Now, data released last week showed that India's merchandise exports grew by a mere 6% in 22-23. Excluding oil, exports were lower than in the previous year. So that means exports, again we have हमने पहले slump किया था, अब हमारे पास lower word है. However, again coming up with a twist, in the midst of this weak performance, electronic exports have surged by around 50%. And as per reports, exports of Apple's iPhone have witnessed a remarkable surge. While value addition in the case of iPhones may currently be low, there are reports of the tech giant looking to increase localization. ये सिर्फ अभी reports हैं इसलिए it would increase the domestic value addition, right? So if right now he said that value addition is not so good, right? It may be low. But then there are reports that this is going to increase the localization, ultimately having an effect on what? Domestic value addition. Now, equally significant, the growing share of India in iPhones manufactured globally could act as a signaling factor for other companies looking at shifting their production bases away from China. Okay, so if iPhones are being manufactured here, being sent out, right, shifting the production basis, इसने जो लिखा है कि other companies के लिए भी एक signal हो सकता है, मतलब अगर iPhone ऐसा कर सकता है तो बाकी की companies क्यों नहीं कर सकती? So they can move their plants out of China and come to stay in India. Now, in contrast, is the weaker than expected fourth quarter, that is Jan to March. Results of IT majors such as Infosys, despite services exports estimated to have grown by 27% in 22-23. right? So we have this word despite. So now the services exports improved by 27%, but still the fourth quarter results were not as good. The weakness can be traced. Now see, he is coming up with the fact, the data, and then he is coming up with the explanation of that data. So this weakness can be traced to US and European companies, especially in the banking vertical, postponing their spending after the recent turmoil in financial markets. So you can understand, just a few days back we had done a few articles based on that Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, और फिर एक दो और बैंक्स थी जो कि ऐसे आउट या बैंकरप्ट हो गई थी. So this is what he is referring to now, the recent turmoil in the financial markets. Now, economic uncertainty in these major markets is likely to continue to exert pressure on Indian IT firms. But even as these concerns gain traction, a recent report by HSBC shows that other IT services have gained considerable momentum. Growing at a faster pace. अगर किसी को momentum या considerable का meaning नहीं आता है, though it is a common word, but then you can understand it from this faster pace than the IT majors. So other IT services are growing far better than the IT majors. This category includes professional and management consulting, estimated to have grown by 29%, followed by computer services and research and development. So that means what he is talking about is the other IT services which have shown a better growth rate than what the actual IT has done, because IT majors have done. The IT majors such as Infosys not showing good results, but other IT services have gained considerable momentum. Right, now followed by computer services, research and development. Reports suggest that these activities are based out of global capacity centers, which are essentially delivery centers set up by multinational companies to provide tech services and research and development. As these centers grow in size and scope, their contribution to India's exports will likely rise. जैसे जैसे वो बढ़ेंगे तो उनका contribution भी बढ़ने लगेगा. That is with the probability complete that it will rise. So it is likely to rise. Right. So now the second paragraph was a lengthier one. The first paragraph you understood, it is giving us the three trends. The author is trying to understand the India's export basket and coming up with these three trends. What were they? First, a robust growth. Second, he says there is a slump, there is a growth, a significant jump. दोनों है. Second, he says that the exports grow at a robust pace even as the fourth quarter is there, and IT firms suggest a subdued near-term outlook. So the second point was of the IT that was explained in the second paragraph. Third, he said, was the exports of other IT services which was growing well, right? So they are the other drivers of growth. तो ये हो गया उसे तीनों पॉइंट्स जो थी, तीनों पॉइंट्स सेकंड वाले पैराग्राफ में जस्टिफाई हो गई है, उसे लॉजिकली एक्सप्लेन भी कर दिया है तीनों पॉइंट्स को. Then, however, the immediate outlook is shrouded in uncertainty, right? However, there is a small twist in the paragraph, or rather in the idea. Immediate outlook is shrouded in uncertainty. तो जहां उसने previous paragraph में कहा exports will likely rise, but then he comes up with the next paragraph because now his tone changes. He says now there is a shroud of uncertainty. Shrouded का मतलब होता है covered होता है, concealed होता है. तो उसे कहीं ना कहीं ये जो कुछ भी उसका optimism था in the previous paragraph that it is likely to rise, it is somehow somewhere covered by uncertainty. Now with the IMF's latest World Economic Outlook projecting global growth and trade to slow down sharply, India's exports will come under pressure. Okay, now he is coming up with a global scenario here, what is happening and what is projected. Projected यानी future में अभी क्या होने वाला है. तो क्या बोला है IMF ने उनके economic outlook के हिसाब से growth and trade will slow down sharply, considerably, substantially, कुछ भी हो सकता है. तो अगर ग्रोथ एंड ट्रेड कम हो जाता है तो इंडिया के एक्सपोर्ट्स भी they will be under pressure because even that is going to reduce. Because if the other countries, other markets in the world, the growth is about to decline or will be declining, India's exports will definitely reduce. In this scenario, Even though the government has recently unveiled a new trade policy, more needs to be done to boost the country's exports. So in spite of a new trade policy, what is required will be a few good actions so that the exports are pushed to boost the country's exports, from reducing the frictions in trade to ensuring a competitive exchange rate, lowering the tariffs, and signing broader and deeper free trade agreements. So the last part of the paragraph is giving you suggestions of what should be done, or rather what needs to be done. So should be done, needs to be done में क्या हो जाएगा? जरूरी है इस काम का करना, और should हो जाएगा, ठीक है, ये करना चाहिए. Right? So the author is coming up with his suggestions with a little stronger note. So needs to be done will be here what he suggests. Second, so we know now what we have in the 3 paragraphs. The main idea would be trade data points to opportunities for India. So the first paragraph had that trade data. What does it point to? The opportunities, right? What can India do? Or must act swiftly to seize the openings. That means what needs to be done now. Right? First paragraph. Second paragraph was giving you the explanation, the logic, the rationale behind the points in the first paragraph, जो उसने 3 points mention की थी. और third paragraph में उसने however करके थोड़ा सा ये बताया, ऐसा सिनेरियो बताया कि अब लग तो रहा है कि फ्यूचर में कुछ अच्छा होगा. Second paragraph, last line. But then he came up with a little divergent note that see, not all will be very easy now. So India has to do something or needs to do something, that what it needs to do is given in the previous, in the last few lines of the last paragraph. So I hope you have understood this. We'll come up with the vocabulary part here, though we do not have many words today. ठीक है, easy words हैं, पर फिर कुछ उसके meanings लिख लिए. तो those who do not know these words will definitely write them, and those who know the words can come up with better words for them. So consequential, we usually understand consequence as coming up with the as a result, right? ये सबसे easy है, पर मैंने उसको end में लिखा है. तो consequential का मतलब होता है जो resulting effects देता है, जो results देता है, right? Now if you break this word con, it becomes con plus you have the word sequi also, that is sequence. ठीक है, तो sequi का मतलब ये root word हो गया. एक sequi का meaning होता है sequence. Consequence means there is a spate of events, ऐसे event 1, event 2, event 3 होता जाता है, लेकिन as a result क्या होगा, ये उसका consequence है, something that is coming next in sequence as a result of the action done. Next, so we have the word major. Consequential effects हो सकते हैं, consequential कुछ भी हो सकता है, तो major, significant, substantial. Substantial का मतलब होता है having some substance. Otherwise, इसका opposite, cross का मतलब होता है I give you the opposite part. So substantial is something that is considerable. Otherwise, it would be negligible. ठीक है, तो या तो वो ध्यान देने लायक है तो substantial है, substance है, उसमें कुछ content है. Otherwise, it is negligible. Robust, strong and healthy. Slumped is the way you would sit on a sofa after a day's work. Many people would do that after a day's work or after a journey. They would just slouch in their armchairs or slouch in the sofas. So slouching, flabby, drooping is slumping, right? I sit like this. That way it is called drooping. Drooping shoulders hote hain. Otherwise you can sit upright. Traction is, most of you know this, it's a pull or it's a tug. If you remember, it's a tug of war, the game that you play. So that is tug. Surge is the flow or the gush. If you remember the words, insurgents hote hain. So insurgents are those people who would come into our country in large numbers. Shrouded, as we said, it is covered, cloaked or masked. Covered you can use, masked you can understand. Cloaked, if you have not written, you can write it down. Unveiled, now if something is shrouded, something is unveiled also. So it is uncovered, revealed. अगर shrouded covered है तो फिर ये uncovered हो जाएगा, revealed हो जाएगा. Right? और boost का मतलब होता है to lift your spirits, to boost is to energize or to enhance your spirits. Right? Boost is the secret of our energy. So boost is something that is energizing. So that's all for today. Boost was a secret drink at first. So that's all. So thank you and all the best for the test that you will take in this week, and stay logical and a logical day ahead. That's all for today. Thank you. कितने मिनट का हुआ? 16 मिनट का. मेरे को ये 13 मिनट में खत्म